Thank you. This is my favorite little talk I give every year. I love looking out and seeing 100% support. So that's great. Yes, I have lots of fun updates for you. Things just keep hopping for the St. Mary Sisters, praise God. And yeah, I have started praying for trilocation, not just bilocation, trilocation. It would be very handy at this moment. But that's okay. What's amazing to me is when things come and I'll have so much that needs to be done, and then people step up all over the place. Someone will just randomly knock on the door and be like, here's a case of meat for you. And I'll be like, okay, I needed to go shopping that day and there was no time. Literally things like that have been happening. So I'm like, okay, all right, Lord, this is your problem. No. But there's several things that have happened this year. One was last year when I came and spoke. Apparently Scott Wild got very excited. He came over to me after and he's like, you need to start a podcast. And I was thinking in my head, you've got to be kidding me. Podcast? Who wants to listen to me? Anyway, and also, I don't got time for that. But it nagged at me for weeks. And then I was like, oh, really? I'm not one of those people, I grew up in my parents were part of the super charismatics, uber, praise Jesus in church. Literally, when I was 12, I thought everybody did that. Didn't find out till in high school that that's not actually the common way that Catholics pray. But anyway, it's totally fine. And so people would frequently say, oh, Jesus told me. And I always feel a little skeptical, you sure that might not be you saying that to you? But you have nothing to respond to it. But I have learned over the years that one of the things I just give it to God is when something won't go away. The thought keeps coming and coming and coming. I go, okay, this might be Jesus, this might be God, might be the Holy Spirit, so I better do something about it and then see if it starts to roll out. And then if it doesn't, a wall, a door, something shuts, well then I just let it go. And it seemingly works. It's actually quite easy. You're like, oh, you start making phone calls and everyone says no. And you're like, oh, okay, thank you very much. That's it. And then you start making phone calls over here and then everything starts to fall out, So anyway, I called Scott and all of a sudden everything started to roll out. Now, it took me, I think it was 55 tries. I kept trying to it's really hard to speak into a microphone without people looking at you, even though I don't actually like a lot of attention, but it's really hard to look at a wall or a computer and speak into a microphone. It's just, you don't get any feedback. And as humans, we really like that feedback. I had to do TV shows way back when I was a first year teacher. And I remember the EWTN, and I was there and I was trying to do it. And the camera guys kept coming up to me. They're like, be natural. And I'm like, this is really hard when you're staring at a lens, you're so used to teaching and you got little bodies. And even when they're overreacting, it's more fun than sleeping or a screen. Anyway, so finally got it down and then started to pound out several episodes of what is now called light bearers. Go ahead, sisters. My little helpers. So, and the reason I tell you is because this little podcast, they're super short episodes, but they just get across the idea of what religious life is. And you could recommend it to maybe your grandkids or your children and just anybody who's thinking about religious life. We went to Mary for their vocations jamboree a couple months ago, and it was amazing how many students were coming over just to grab the little card so that they could listen to it and just get some ideas. Most of them are about 5 minutes long. They're pretty short. If you're just to listen to one to get the flavor of it, I recommend the one that says, do we eat pumpkin pie in the middle of the night? That's a fun one. And it just gets across the idea of why it is that we don't generally eat pumpkin pie in the middle of the night, but also just the nature of self-denial in the convent and why things aren't just the way you want them, but it's just fun. So anyway, so Scott Wild has been amazing. He does all that work for me. I just feed him episodes. But it's a fun one. So that happened this year. And Yes, so the sisters have been working really hard with their formation, which has been great. They passed their big novice test, which is memorizing 75 questions on religious life and the vows and canon law and all stuff. And some of them are 9 points long, like what they have to memorize. What are the levels of humility? What is the vow of chastity? How is obedience different for a Dominican as it is for Franciscan? In detail, so that when they get up there on July 22nd, they can't say, I don't know what I'm doing up here. They know exactly what they're getting into. And so they'll be able to say nice and loudly, yes, this is what I want to do. So that test is done orally, and I get to ask them all of those questions very formally. I even have a big relic of St. Thomas Aquinas next to me, just to make it more impressive. And it's great. So they're in the last stages. So you're a postulant for a year, and then a novice for 2 years, and they're in the last stages, and then they'll be making vows, which would be really fun to have 3 professed in the state of North Dakota. It's been 5 years of just 1. Getting a little tired of it. So hopefully you will come, because you have been the faithful fans. I would recommend you come a little early. The entire state of North Dakota is coming, and people from New York and Tennessee and Hoboken, New Jersey, so you better want to get a seat. There'll be food after in the backyard and underneath in the cafeteria. You can choose. So the Knights of Columbus are helping, and they're going to do that. Oh yeah, the sisters are going to hand out the little cards. This is just in case, so you have the dates. Now, July 19th, we're having a big neighborhood groundbreaking, and we are going to start. So the houses that have been taken down that are on Raymond and Rosser, there was a lot of meth activity going on in those houses. So I begged the bishop if we could do a really nice big blessing on the land, since it's going to turn into a convent land. So 2 of the houses have already been taken down, and then 2 more are going to go down on this date. So what's going to happen at 1 o'clock on that little card you're being handed is going to have a mass, an outdoor mass, and then there's going to be after that like a big cookout. So, but you can come at any time. There will be people tearing houses down early in the morning, so a bunch of Knights of Columbus and my brother, and even some guys that are in training to become builders are coming from Michigan, and they're going to help out and just make a big thing of it. And so the mass is a standing mass because the land is slanted, but I will have chairs that are reserved for the special. So there will be some, and there's a pad that's concrete. So, and there's an easy driveway down. So it is a little steep though. So if you feel leery about that at all, feel free to just drive by for a while, because there'll be a lot going on, and you could make a circle around the whole block, because we're from Avenue A all the way down to Rosser is the property and the stuff that's going to be taking place. There'll be even little bouncy houses for the kids to keep them busy, and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be fun. And that's when we're going to start building this. Now, this is not a very official picture. This is my own drawing with my mother, was a graphics artist in her day. And basically what this is the convent, and the reason it's going to look like this is because, you know how you have like, well, if you've built a house, you know there's a lot of talking that takes place before there's even a picture, you know, like builders and this and that. I've been meeting for 12 months and trying to get something to work, and finally realized, okay, this house has to be concrete. It's going to be the easiest and in the end the cheapest way to get a structure that can take 36 sisters running around in it all the time. So the house is simpler. When you come to visit, you'll see like our lifestyle. We don't have like computers and stuff all around. We do have computers like in our library because we are teachers, but basically beautiful chapel, and then everything else is very simple, and lots of books because we are Dominicans. We already have 5,000 books. Can you imagine? 5,000 books for 3 ladies. We have so many books. You open any closet in our house and it's books. You're like, wow, do you have anything else? Nope. Literally, people will offer me stuff. I'll be like, sorry, I read too many books, you know. So I'm thinking about stealing the bishop's residence once he moves out and just start sticking books in. Oh, okay, Deacon Brett says no. Okay, sounds good. I'm totally teasing, but anyway, so basically, since it has to be concrete and it has to have no roof, well, a flat roof, well, I designed the first convent was going to be a colonial style, you know, with the little peaked roof and the little dormers poking out. It's going to look amazing because I need it to look more ageless. I can't have it look like a 2025 house because we are Dominicans. We've been doing this for 800 years. We're passing on something that's really old but beautiful and has rich traditions to it. I also, no matter what it takes, it must have some form of stone to show that we mean business. Like, none of this little sticks and plaster gets you bad. It has to be rock or brick or concrete. Like, it has to show everyone that, no, we're here for good. We're putting our roots right next to the bishop's house to pretend like we've been here all along, you know. And since it has now, it's going to be concrete, and the roof was going to be like a couple extra million if I put, like, it'd be literally a faux roof. Okay, well, that's silly. There's no point. And if you take the roof off a colonial looking house, guess what it looks like? A prison. And no joke, the city was like, what's this prison box over here? And it was like, I was like, oh, great. So I was like, okay, well, notice it has no flat roof, right? And it's gonna be Tudor, but it's gonna be concrete. Yes, it has little inclinations, but that's so that the priests know we'll shoot them from the roof if they mess with us, you know. Also, what's really nice is on the roof will be a little patio. Now, if you were to wear a habit for one day, you would notice you're always being looked at, nonstop. It never ends for us. I go on my home visits and I walk with my siblings, and I remember one of my brothers, it was several years in, he's like, wow, everyone is staring at us. And I said, I know, sorry, it's just the nature of walking around in white habit. He's like, you're in a fishbowl all the time. And I said, yep. We represent something so much more than ourselves. And that's why our etiquette is so high. That's why the sisters have 3 years of training, because you can't throw someone into that fishbowl. They won't make it unless they've had a lot of time to get like it into their blood. But the nature of that means there's somewhere where the sisters need to go where they know they're not on camera. Because we get our picture taken a lot. Or we get yelled at a lot, no joke. People will scream things at us. And we're so used to it. We're like, God bless you. And they're usually driving by. They're like 19 years old and they'll scream something not very nice or whatever. It's no big deal. It happens. But the little roof provides a patio. Oh, isn't that dandy? So we can go up there and we can do our fun stuff, play games and cards or whatever, you know, like outdoor and not be seen. Because I'll design the roof so it's just high enough so it's above everybody else. It'd be great. And then next to it is this beautiful chapel. So this part, these two levels are basically chapel. And so there's room there for 36 sisters with our particular style of kneelers, which are a little bit bigger than normal. Benedictines have a nice, very compact way that they pray. Dominicans, for whatever reason, we need a 5 foot by 2 feet space. I don't know, it works. We twist and we turn and we do all this stuff. It'll be fine. You'll come and see. But once that is built, then we'll have Vespers on Sundays at 5, which will be available. Anyone can come at any time. You don't have to like ask, you just show up and then you can pray with us. And so there'll be space for you too. So it is a chapel that's 75 feet deep and 35 feet wide, but it's gonna be gorgeous. And there's so much that's coming together for it. One of the things, so I brought this because I just brought it together. But there's all these gorgeous windows, which if you've been getting our newsletter, they're going to be placed in the convent. And what I love is we were in Minnesota, and these were sitting in a barn. A gentleman had gotten them and died, and nobody knows where they're from. And all of these we were able to get at much cheaper than you would ever pay for gorgeous German windows. Some of them are not the same artist. So they're arranged in different spots in the chapel, or the convent, not just the chapel. But they have these Gothic details, and those little Gothic details are going to be put into the altar so that it's going to look like everything was from scratch. And some of these, especially these two windows that are going to go in, these two windows are so well done, they don't know any artists in the US that would have been able to do it. They just lost that art. If I could zoom in for you, the pictures aren't good enough, you would see like the little hairs that they had drawn, and it's just incredible detail. I can't wait till those two show up. And those you'll be able to see driving by in Rosser. And it'll be in a spot, you know how in a commercial building you have to have lights on at certain times? I'm just gonna make sure one of those spots is right by these windows so that all night long, those windows are shining out. And then that big Saint Joseph, he's huge. This one's gonna be so pretty. And he's up one level, so it looks down at you. And just the fact that that's gonna be there for everyone who drives by. But yes, things are hopping. And we're just, the sisters and I, we're just on the fast track, So come join us on those days. Now, we have one other event that it was slightly mentioned, but that is the Big Smoke. So if you are bored, come next week on the 22nd. Yeah, 22nd, Sunday the 22nd. Yeah, you just might want to join us for the Big Smoke, because last year, if you remember, I was a little cocky about how much we were going to win. Yes, we didn't even make it into any suggestion of winning. We showed up in our little CRV with our little tent and our little refrigerator-sized smoker. Yeah, guess what? There were guys there with 18-foot trailers, 20-foot smokers. One guy had 3 8-foot smokers, and he was doing cheese, and this one he was doing meat, and this one he was doing chicken, and that. And I was like, oh my goodness. So we, between praying our prayers and our teeny little smoker, we did not win. In fact, it got so bad. People would come up and they'd ask for just our German's potato salad. They'd be like, no, I don't need any of your meat. I just need the potato salad. So then I decided, okay, well, since we've really lost, we might as well just make the ham of this. So I was like, there's a big jar there for seminarians or whatever. And I was like, can you just give to the St. Mary Sisters? If you put cash in there, it'll go straight to us. So I was like, come on, help the sisters out. Clearly we're not doing a good job here. Clearly we're not gonna get anywhere. Yeah, they started dumping money in. It was great. We had this little family of girls, and they just would go and beg people for tickets, because these little tickets and you vote. Well, some people would come up and be like, well, I can't vote for you because it'd be a lie. And I'm like, come on, it's just a fundraiser, for crying out loud. Who really cares, So I decided, well, if we're gonna do this again, because we were there and we had our beautiful white tent and our white habits, and our sign, whoa, I must not have read the memo. Our sign was like the classroom bulletin board, because I'm a teacher, so it was like 6 feet and 4 feet. It was this dog jumping out and grabbing a pork rib. And it said, the taste of truth. That's our team name. Yeah, I get there, all the other guys, because it's only men, we're the only women. And it was like teeny little plaques, like little plaques. And I was like, well, clearly, so everyone came to our table because we were so obnoxious with our sign. And so, but we get there and, we have our table and this, and then we have our little tiny refrigerator-sized smoker. Yeah, guess who's next to us? Father Mouse. Guess how big his smoker was? A minivan size. I was like, are you kidding me? With a big restaurant name on the side. And I'm like, that's cheating. You didn't do your own smoking. And he's like, Mother, I never do my smoking. I make other people do it, that's how I win. And I'm like, So we noticed that all the people that won last year had some kind of liquor mixed into their stuff. Well, the nuns, we do not have liquor sitting around. If you came to our convent, you wouldn't find any. And so we were like, okay, we better experiment. So we had some experimenting, and I went to my sister's house, because she has liquor. And I looked above the refrigerator and I noticed that she had watermelon whiskey. Why you would mix those two, I do not know. And I was like, well, she's not going to use this, thinking poverty conscious. I don't want to steal her expensive liquor, if she's not using it. And I knew it had been sitting there for 4 years because I had seen it up there. And I was like, you don't need your watermelon whiskey, do you? And she's like, no, you can take that. And her little 4-year-old son goes, Auntie, are you stealing our watermelon whiskey? And I was like, yes, Elijah, we are taking your whiskey. Well, you better bring that back. Elijah, I doubt this is going to return. So we made the mistake of making a barbecue sauce with watermelon whiskey. It's as bad as it sounds. We tried it out, and it was like Jolly Rancher barbecue sauce. No joke. So, sisters, we don't waste anything. Like, literally, we eat burnt Brussels sprouts, and we eat toast that's way past its age. We chug coffee that's 2 days old. But yeah, the whiskey barbecue sauce went into the trash. And I took the rest of the whiskey and had the pleasure of dumping it down the sink. I was like, there's no way. No one's gonna use this. It tasted like Jolly Ranchers. I have no idea. And I even like Jolly Ranchers, but. So then we upgraded to cinnamon whiskey, the super cheap Fireball stuff. Anyway. It was way better. So our next competition is going to have a little bit of that. I'm not sure we'll put it on the sign because people might be scandalized. The nuns have cinnamon whiskey barbecue sauce. But that's going to upgrade. And then we have a secret weapon. I called Father Dustin Johns because he is known for his smoking. Now, as you know, sometimes the priests are a little hard to get to because they're so busy. So sometimes you don't get a response for like 2 weeks, a month. It's okay, they're busy, it's totally fine. The next day I get a phone call. Yes, Mother, I will help you with your smoking. And I was like, oh good. So we're just gonna stand in front and be nice, and nice meat is gonna come out. So hopefully this time, for real, we're gonna make it on the list. But I recommend you come. It's really fun. It sounds silly, but it's like tons of kids, all this meat. It's like a food show. My dad owned a grocery store, so we would go to these food shows. We loved it as kids. We just go from table to table to table, sampling everything. It was so much fun. And so what they do is literally it's a lineup of like 20 different teams. Some are from Stanley, most are from Minot. And we've decided we're the only women religious. Only religious at all, actually, last time. The Benedictines weren't able to come. So, yeah, it's fun. They sample and you put tickets. If you do come, you will be faithful to us, right? Loyal. Yeah, loyal. But it's fun. And then they have a big, smoked chicken dinner. It's fun. And it's just very simple and delightful. So, anyway, it's usually done by 5 or 6. It's not like a long event. But anyway, so. Yes, that's the big updates for us. The sisters, after profession, they go and visit their families, which they haven't seen for a while, because when you're a Whiteville novice, you're not allowed to go home. And then we begin the fall, and they're all signed up for You Mary. They're going to get certified. And about the next year, at most 2 years, it will take to get them both certified and start making our way into light of Christ, sneaking through the back door. They have no idea what's coming. It'll be fun. And so pray for us. Pray, please. Come to our events if you're free. And just enjoy all the funness. And then drive by Rossar every once in a while so you can see. The actual construction will not start till the spring. So the winter, it is with winter. And these precast walls, how it works is they make all the walls off-site like Legos. And it's the Hutterite community is doing it. They are so excited. They brought the price down because they wanted me to pick them basically. And they just want to show, it's such a unique structure that you're trying to make concrete look like a castle. Oh, we just got samples yesterday, the day before. It's these samples of concrete and different ways that they can get, one of them has rocks and then it's like pebble rocks. And then they sandblast it and then they polish it and it has this effect. And then they put the lines in everything's a little too perfect. So I have a few artistic ways that we're gonna sneak some old rocks in just to kind of offset it around the doors and stuff like that. So it doesn't have the, you know what I mean, that perfect look. Almost like it got pumped out of a computer kind of thing. Yeah, the aged look. But they're very excited. They want really bad. So I had several like companies that were like hounding me because they really wanted this project so that they could kind of make it their poster child because it's just different. So it's basically brown and tan Tudor type look is what it'll be. But you're going to come and see anyway, right?
Yes.
So, and that will not be too far out. So anyway, thank you for your prayers. Please keep them up. Everything you do does matter. It is religious life. It's done this, ebbs and flows, where you have tons and tons of sisters, and there seems to be, in brothers, there seems to be a dip, and then it goes back up. The Franciscans in Hankinson, their story is incredible. So 300 years ago, they went down to one sister who had leprosy. Down to one sister, and it still increased. It still came back. And they went all the way back. And now I know in Hankinson, they're kind of shrinking, but as far as their other convents in Germany and other places, they're actually growing and thriving. So they're just part of a larger group. But it's always like that. So our little seed, you know, I was here for 5 years, and now the sisters have been here for 2+ years. It's like, that's how it works. We just simply will not back down on what our identity is. And you'll see, 10 years from now, you'll be like, oh yeah, she's saying the same thing all over again. You know, and that's what it is. We are just this ship that goes through, and we refuse to compromise on what we know works for the human heart. And a lot of that is like, we do not allow technology to infringe on our prayer life. We do not allow it to, like we never have cell phones in our community room. It's not even allowed. You know, there's things, we never have it at the table. I've spent my entire religious life, not having phones at the table. The dinner table, anything. Our conversations are rich. Our discussions of books are rich. You know, like one of our professors this past year, we have one that comes to teach us philosophy from you, Mary, and he's great. He's like, you are like that thing that just goes right through all the ice, right through all the trash, and just says, no, too bad. Our sides are made of rock because they're Christ, and we just keep going. And so we have to adapt in our education sphere to what's going on and work with the tech in that regard. But at home, it's not in our bedrooms. It's not, and that's why this building may look fancy, but it's very simple inside. And it's because what's taking place inside of it is far more important than any of that. But I do need a structure that can take lots and lots of feet. Yeah. So thank you. Keep praying, and we'll see you this summer, right?